What's going on, guys? It's your boy Will here. So I wanted to make this quick video in reference to I had a few passengers. They were Lyft line passengers and they were ladies. And I want to say that as drivers, sometimes, especially being a guy, we get beautiful women in our car, right? We get attractive ladies in our car. But some drivers are, as these ladies said it, creepy as hell. I went to go pick up this one lady. She was about 28, 30 years old. We were talking. She was cool. She was actually from up north. She started, asking me, hey, what is there to do in the city? She felt like she didn't really do much. Fast forward, we go pick up the other passenger. It was a younger lady, about 18, 19 years old. And these two women had something in common. The older one, she was a nurse. And the 18-year-old, she was actually in college to become a nurse. And somehow the conversation got to how these ladies were scared, or how they would never take a Lyft after a certain time at night. And I kind of laughed. I was like, why not? And they were like, some creepy ass Lyft drivers out here, right? And I was like, damn, really? They were like, yeah, they were like, you'll get guys who will literally stare at you through the rearview mirror, but won't even be talking to you. And it's like, that's weird, that's creepy, it makes girls feel uncomfortable. So if you're that guy, don't do that. Don't stare at girls through your rearview mirror, especially if you're not talking to them. Don't ask for girls' numbers if you are not talking to them. At the end of the ride, don't ask for their numbers. And these are things that they were telling me, right? Like, it's not just my opinion, it's things that they were telling me. If you're an old man, and you got a young lady in your car, I really can't say much about that. I mean, I know that's creepy too for most of these girls. Hey, you're old, you're about to go soon, man. You got to take as many swings as you can. I can't be mad at that. But I guess the overall thing that I got from these ladies is they don't mind. In fact, they're happy when some guys do holler at them. Both of them agreed. I was like, hey, is it wrong for Lyft drivers to try and talk to girls? They both said, no, absolutely not. They were just like, it has to be like appropriate, right? And so I was like, well, what do you all consider appropriate? And they basically were saying that, well, for one, we should already be having a pretty good conversation. Some guy just randomly asking for the number is kind of weird and it's creepy. And what these girls said they do is they'll usually either give the wrong number or they'll just give them their number. That way the guy feels comfortable and they don't have to really worry about anything going wrong on the ride, like some dude freaking out and trying to, assault them or something like that. So my advice would be, hey, like I said, we have a lot of beautiful ladies come in the car. We're all humans. If you do find that person who you want to holler at, make sure, number one, that you're already having a pretty decent conversation. What I found is, through doing this for almost 2 years, is that even though some people will be shut off at first, you can kind of figure out if some people like to talk, right? Like, the other night, I had a girl in my car. It was probably like 9 o'clock at night. It's pretty late. She got in the car. She was being quiet. I asked her a few questions. Kept asking her questions. And then I stopped. And then at that point she started asking me questions, and then it turned into just a good conversation. Now, obviously, I didn't ask for her number or anything like that. That's not my jizz anymore, but I'm pretty sure I could have been like, hey, you seem like a cool chick, let's stay in contact. And that's what I would recommend is that you frame it in a way where it's not like you're trying to instantly holler at them right then. But if you have a good conversation, just say, hey, let's stay in contact, take my number down. Don't ask for their number. Say, hey, take my number down. What you'll find is when I did do this in the past, every girl that I did give my number to, they would text me before they even got out the car, right? Like, if I was like right at the end of the ride, if I was just like, hey, take my number down, they'd be like, oh yeah, they would text me right then, so I had their number. Now, they would never call me first, but that was the reason that they were texting me right then, to say, hey, you have my number. You have permission to call me. So don't be that creeper guy who's just like randomly like, yo, shawty, you look good. let me get your number. Or don't be that old guy who's like, you know, I can pay your college tuition. Don't be that guy. For one, they're gonna be like, man, you can't pay my college tuition. You can't pay my college tuition. That was what the girl was saying. It's like, I was like, yeah, you know, you probably can't. You're just trying to get in them draws. It ain't nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I like getting in draws. You should like getting in draws too. But you got to go about it the correct way, man. You can't just randomly, just out of nowhere, hey bitch, let me get your number. You can't do that. So I found it funny though, because I was like, damn, I didn't know motherfuckers are like staring at women through the rearview mirror. I mean, that would make me uncomfortable. As a driver, I get uncomfortable when someone sits in the front seat and they're just like staring at my face, or like if I can see someone in the back seat and I like look up, you know, in my rearview mirror and I see them just kind of like staring at the back of my head. That makes me feel uncomfortable as a driver, whether it's a woman or a guy. You know, so if me, as someone who I really don't care about too much stuff, right? If that makes me feel uncomfortable with even an attractive lady looking at the back of my head, just like staring, they're just like staring. I know it makes women feel uncomfortable when you're just constantly looking at them. Number one, you should be looking at the road. And number two, if you're not having a conversation with them, that's even more sketch, because they're like, man, what is this dude trying to do? Another thing the girl said was, every time she gets into a Lyft car with a guy, the younger one, I had already dropped off the older one, she was like, yeah, man, I always fucking, she was like, I send my location to a friend and to my mom. She was like, every single time she gets in the car, just in case something does happen. And I'm like, damn, I didn't know people had to worry about stuff like that, right? But it's real out here, right? So that's just my message for today, man. Like, if you're gonna do it the appropriate way. The whole let's stay in contact, take my number down, I actually got that from a passenger, a guy who was just like asking me questions. He was like, man, yo, Will, is you know, how is it and stuff or whatever. I'm not gonna go too deep into it. But he was just like, yeah, man, you need to be doing that. You need to just say, yo, let's stay in contact. So I pass that along to you creepers out there. Have a great conversation with them. Don't be scared to talk to the ladies. Ask some questions. They will start to ask you back if they're interested in talking. That doesn't mean they're interested in you per se, but you might have a chance to further that conversation somewhere else down the line. And I mean, you know, not trying to get into the whole do Lyft drivers or Uber drivers get laid thing, but there are tons of Uber drivers and Lyft drivers out there getting laid, and I'm sure you can too. Just don't be a creep. So that's all I got for today.